So welcome back. Today is Monday, 6 November. We are wrapping up final review of content and concepts and methods in Module 4. And as soon as class is done today, I'll be posting the assessment so that you can log your first attempt of the Module 4 assessment by the start of class, Wednesday, 10 a.m. That would be 8 November, 10 a.m. Wednesday. You have to complete your first attempt of the Module 4 assessment by the time we start class on Wednesday. The first thing we'll do on Wednesday is review the assessment items for that first attempt. So it will be a hard deadline, and we do need to be able to review assessment items beginning 10 a.m. Wednesday. For that reason, we will not be extending the deadline. You have 48 hours to complete your first attempt of the Module 4 assessment. Any questions about those expectations? Now, from now until the end of our semester, we will, let's see, we will be referring to the logic gate E solution. Everybody remember the diagram of logic gate E with 3 ands and 2 ors? There were only 2 inputs.
Yeah.
Okay. If you completed and submitted logic gate E at a previous time, that's great. There was a reference to it in the previous module assessment for Module 3. We're going to refer to it again in Module 4, then in Module 5, then in Module 6. Because we want folks to know the ins and outs of that solution as a showcase or model solution. You only have 2 inputs, you're using 5 logic gates, you have a very unique, very specific set of digital component behavior with specific inputs. So this is the truth table that is the solution for logic gate E. We could work up the canonicals right now. We could say A tick BC or ABC tick or ABC. Has standard canonical expressions. And we could also, with those expressions, come up with a logic statement, right? You need to know that inside and out. And we just want you to master. This is about mastery learning, right? We want you to master how that complex logic gate works and what it does. And I just want to be fair and upfront, no surprises. I'm not pulling any punches. You're going to see it over and over again, including the final exam, right? So on Friday, we were finishing up our install of the Debian virtual machine creation. And I wanted to show you the end result of the Debian virtual machine creation. There were a couple of screens that followed after we closed out. I will go ahead and finish posting the video into the resources. I don't know if I don't think it's there yet, but I'll post it along with that. Yeah, I'll post it in there along with the other. And the important thing now is for us to use your class time to take this up. I would very much appreciate it if you were to begin working this now. You notice the due date is 10 a.m. Monday, 6 November, right? And what I'm going to do is extend the due date to 11:59 p.m. tonight, because each of you may have had a busy weekend. You may have gotten part of the way through it and run into a snag. What we want to do is give you some breathing room, and I plan to take the rest of the time in class to assist anyone and everyone with their virtual machine build, okay? So depending on how far you've worked through the process, let's take it across the finish line together. And then on Wednesday, we'll review the module assessment. Any questions before we pivot to the virtual machine? Now, for those of you who are working with VirtualBox already, if you have a Linux distribution other than Debian, if you have an Ubuntu distribution that you're using for another course, if you have a Kali distribution that you're using for cybersecurity, this link is a recording from last year, but it talks about the other Linux distributions that you can use if you don't want to use Debian. I mean, if there's something about Debian you're just not jazzed about. But I did want to tell you that when you watch this, it's about 20 minutes long, and it talks about all the other flavors of the rainbow. Just make sure you get the latest one. Any questions about that before we show you the virtual machine, the outcomes of the virtual machine? Welcome, Keanu. How are you? How was your weekend?
I'm good. It was fine.
That's good. All right, so what we're going to do now is pivot here to VirtualBox. And we said that we were creating a new virtual machine and that we would call it new, let's see, Debian trial. Yeah? Everybody see that? I should be able to look in the tools under media, and I would have a VDI called Debian trial, and then I could go ahead with the install. Everybody remembers the first part of the build, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have a build ready, or they're part of the way through it? Would anyone be willing to volunteer to walk through the process?
Well, I have mine already, but I use parallels, so I don't know if that would be helpful to anybody in the class.
I understand. I did name my machine Frodo. So instead of naming it Debian trial, I did name it Frodo, but it is Debian. So if you start this, one thing that I'd recommend is that you always start it detachable. We've explained that before, have we, in this class?
Yeah.
If you're using a laptop, it's just a better way to go. So when that comes up, it'll be Debian, and I should probably rename it Debian trial, but that's what I used. You saw the reference to grub in the background. There was a quick flash, and that's the boot utility that gets the system started. And then all you're doing to validate the last step in our solution, it says use the default account and password provided to log into the virtual machine. Once on the desktop, once the desktop graphical user interface shows, click on activities in the upper left corner, capture the screenshot showing the options expanded along the left of the VM screen or at the bottom, right? So depending on the graphical environment, did anyone here pick something other than, did somebody pick Cinnamon or KDE Plasma, or did everybody just click through the GNOME option for the interface for the desktop environment?
For the environment, it didn't give me a option, so I think I just got the default.
Okay, so you would be running something called GNOME, GNOME, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
That's okay. If the distribution you downloaded was, if the distribution that you downloaded, now occasionally we run into some weirdness, and I want to talk to you about weirdness. Okay. Every now and then, a Linux distribution won't play nice with your keyboard. So each of you have different laptops. And if you have a physical laptop keyboard that it's a custom keyboard for your specific brand and model of laptop, there are occasions where you set up a user account, you typed in the password correctly, you wrote down the password, or you kept a record of it. You're sure you're entering it correctly. You make sure that you didn't accidentally hit the caps lock key, right? Because sometimes that happens. If the caps lock key is on when you're setting up the account initially, when you go to log in the first time, if the caps lock key is not on, then the case will reverse for each of the letters, right? So that's something that's kind of a nuisance issue.
Excuse me, Professor, are you sharing your screen? Because I'm not seeing it.
I'm very glad that you mentioned something here. Okay.
I sent a message in the chat, but I didn't get a response. Thank you.
I apologize. I did not see. I'm glad you unmuted your mic and said something.
You're welcome.
Okay. Oh, and I see another student mentioned about Debian, right? Oh, and that's you, Marilyn. Okay.
That was me.
Okay. Can everybody see the screen now?
Yes.
I can see it.
Okay. So I was I was gesturing to other elements on the screen here. I did not name mine. So this is where I said I did not name mine Debian trial. I've done it so many times, I decided to use something interesting. So I've called mine Frodo after the Hobbit movies, the Lord of the Rings movies. I'm not so old that you don't know what that means, right? Everybody? You're familiar with Lord of the Rings?
I follow you.
Yes.
Okay. All right, good. So can everybody see you notice that there are multiple desktops here, right? So some Linux environments allow you to create more than one desktop. That can get a little confusing if you don't understand what's going on. But actually, in the latest versions of Windows 10 and 11, they've given you the ability to create a multiple desktop environment, so you can have more than one desktop in Windows also. In the upper left corner, here's the activities button. So just to finish a thought, if you get to the place where you're logging in to see this screen, but for some reason your password just doesn't work, capture where it shows your account name and some dots where you're attempting to enter the password, and capture that screen. Now, as luck would have it, depending on your system and in your keyboard, what you should do is select the title bar at the top of the virtual machine window so that it's the active part of the screen. And then you should click to the side on the desktop before you hit print screen. And if you do that, then you'll be able to capture an image of either the login with a password entry attempt or your desktop. So again, we've noticed that for some, we're not sure why, could be a translation of the device driver for the keyboard. People know they entered the password correctly, and then when they get to the virtual machine, they try to enter it, and it doesn't matter what they do, they just can't clear it. The remedy is simple. You delete the virtual machine and start over from scratch, right? And then you try a different password because it's usually something off with your physical keyboard and how it plays with that particular Linux. So you could change the Linux distribution. You could try a different flavor, or you could build a virtual machine on another system. But to get this assignment turned in before the end of the day, if you run into a snag, just get me a login screen, okay? Just put in a login screen and I'll post full credit for item or criteria number 5. So don't halt, don't hold up, you know, get it done. I'll also replace the link for this Debian creation with the one we did Friday, the walkthrough we did Friday. Okay, so we'll update that. Getting back to the screen, you may or may not see the bar down here initially. This may not show initially, and if it doesn't, don't panic. Just click Activities. Your first screen may look like this, and you don't see the bar until you click Activities, right? That's what shows all this. Now, one of the coolest things you can do with your Debian machine is to see if you can get on the internet. So if your Debian machine is actually working like a full-blown computer, you should be able to open up Office apps like an open source word processor document application. So LibreOffice is like Microsoft Office, except it's open source. So you can start word processing, but you'll know it's the real McCoy when you can get on the internet. So if you open up Firefox, and eventually Firefox should pop into view. There we go. If your virtual machine is working properly and you have a good, I'm just going to skip this step. I want to get to browsing. I'm going to skip this step. I just want to get to browsing. I'm going to skip this step. I'll start browsing, right? What I want to do is to go to Google. And if I get a Google prompt, that means my virtual machine is working on the network. And it's actually a separate computer, apart from the physical one that I'm using to host the virtual machine. So I'll go ahead and close this app. One of the nicest things you can do is enter a quick command. And actually, you should also test your administrative login. Use the command sudo su, or what you want to do is get a pound prompt. So you're going to use super user, and this command allows you to enter your super user command. And it should give you a pound prompt. And once again, we've noticed some password wrinkles. I think I have mine written somewhere else. Let me try one more time with this thing. I've got it written down. Okay, well, heck with that. Here's the command that you want to enter once you get a pound prompt. I'll just type this down so you can see it. apt-get update, and then you use 2 ampersands, and then apt-get upgrade. When you enter this command, you're telling your new virtual machine, I want you to update the software catalog so I know if I'm current. And then this one says, I want you to look at the applications and get the latest version. So this updates the catalog. Once the catalog is updated, your system, your new computer will be able to say, oh, hey, that version of Office Libre Writer is out of date. It needs to be updated. So this is how you work system updates. This is how you optimize your personal technology with this particular virtual machine. And if you do this from a pound prompt, what will happen is that it'll ask you if you want to update all these different packages, because it's going out to get these from what are called repositories. So this is open source. There are lots of different sources for these updates and catalogs. And you're going to answer with a capital Y and then hit enter, and then it'll go ahead and run and upload. If you're not getting on the internet, one of the things you can do is go into your machine settings and change your network from bridged to NAT, and then just restart your system. So if you're not getting a Firefox Google prompt, you want to go to the network option and change it from bridged to NAT, or from NAT to bridged. So if it's NAT, change it to bridged. If it's bridged, change it to NAT. And that usually fixes the problem. After a restart, you should be able to get on Firefox, okay? Any questions so far about the virtual machine? So if you show apt-get update, apt-get upgrade on your screen, and it's loading new stuff, if you include a screenshot of that, I'll post additional credit. And you can log additional credit beyond the 5 points. Do I have a volunteer that's willing to share their virtual machine screen in whatever state you're in, even if you're starting from scratch? If you have the Debian download, if you have the hard disk built, is there anyone that would be willing to share their screen? Would anyone be willing to log in and run the apt-get command from a pound prompt for additional credit?
I'm getting an error when I try to log in. I took a screenshot.
Okay.
So yeah, it's telling me login failed.
Okay, but it's at the login screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, well,
Or is it before the virtual machine starts?
before it starts.
Okay, that's perfect. That's actually a great thing to share, because the odds are pretty good someone else in the class also has a wrinkle. Okay, can you share your screen? We'll get you through it. Let's resolve the error. And while she's working on some screen elements, is there anyone else that has their virtual machine up and running? And if it is, would you be willing to log in and share your update upgrade command? Once we resolve this, we can pivot and then open this up to others. So let's look at the settings first. Let's go ahead and click on settings. It's the gearbox in the upper center. There we go. All right, that looks good. Let's look at system, please. Click on system. It's under general in the upper left corner. little left, system. There we go. Let's uncheck floppy. We don't want it to boot from the floppy disk. Yeah. Let's check the processor tab at top, please. Okay, you have 2 CPUs, that's good. On the left upper corner, there's display. Select that, please. Let's increase video memory from 16 to 128. You can just slide the slider all the way to the end. Yeah, just drag it all the way. There you go. That's perfect. Okay, and then see it where it says enable 3D acceleration. Can you check the box that says enable 3D acceleration? Perfect. Let's go to storage on the left. All right, it says Debian VDI for the controller. The disk tray is empty. So let's click empty where it says empty. Yes. Now in the upper right corner, let's click the blue disk for the pull down. Now let's select the Debian 12.2 because you have that. That's still in the temp folder, correct? That is still in the temp folder, that ISO? You didn't delete it yet?
Yes. No,
Okay.
I don't think I did.
Okay. On the left-hand side where it says network, let's look at network. Let's change NAT to bridged. Just to see if that helps. Right. All right, let's hit OK. And then let's hit the start pull down and select. I was going to say hit the pull down and then select detachable mode. But that's okay. It'll start just the same. It says console unresolved error. Can you click on the error message to see if it'll open up? I mean, there's a copy option or something? Okay. So sometimes we get this error if we think our system supports virtual machines. Did you go into the BIOS to check to see if your virtual machines are supported?
No, I did not.
Okay. Go ahead and if you would stop sharing, let me show you something quickly.
I'm not seeing anything on my screen.
Yes, I am about to share. So one of the things that can impact use of virtual machines, this is the assignment from before where you're optimizing your personal technology, right? And then here, I think if you watch this video, there's a mention of something called the BIOS. So oftentimes when you get an error message like that and it just says, yeah, I can't do virtual machines. What's going on is that you have this what brand of computer do you have? HP, Dell, Lenovo, Asus, Acer?
HP.
HP, okay. So when you first power on your laptop, there's an HP logo on the screen, right?
Yes.
And when that HP logo is showing, and it depends on the model of HP laptop, but usually if the HP logo is showing when it first shows, so as soon as you press the power button, you're going to go to the F10 key, the function 10 key. And sometimes you got to press a function key for that to work right, but you press and hold F10 while the HP logo is on there, and it goes into something called system setup. BIOS is the basic input-output system, right? And when you turn the power on for your system, it goes through a series of self-checks. And it's testing to see if everything's in order. So it's checking memory, it's checking the CPU, it's checking your hard drive, it's checking all of the circuits and stuff. That's the input-output stuff. And usually that's where you tell it which disk to use to boot the system from. But typically under the Systems tab on some brands, or in HP, it's on the Security tab, there's a feature that has to do with virtualization technology. And if by any chance its default is disabled, you enable it, and then you exit out of there and save changes. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you, it's going to look something like this. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
So it's going to be a blue screen. There's going to be menus, and you go into this thing, and you go to the security menu. I'm trying to get a bigger picture of this thing. Let's see if we can get it really big. But oftentimes that's part of the problem. So you go in, you use your arrow keys. Sometimes your mouse works, sometimes it doesn't. You have to use arrow keys or tab keys. There's usually, F1 for help. But you go here and you make sure that it's enabled. And that usually resolves the problem. Any questions?
Okay, I will try that when we're done with class.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Yes, is anyone else willing to share a screen or log in with their virtual system and try the upgrade command? We can walk through it now. You can post it, claim extra credit.
Well, for me, I am getting like a login loop. Let me show my screen and share, right?
Okay, yeah.
Give me a second here.
I can stop recording as well. So if more people would be willing to show and share their screens, we don't have to record this segment. And I'm going to edit this so that unless you are comfortable, I won't be putting people's stuff out on the internet and YouTube, right?
I
So
understand.
so when I
Okay.
post this video in our class, I'm going to post it so that, yeah, there we go. So is this Parallels that you're running?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
So I get to this screen.
And you hit enter.
Yeah. And it asks me for my login, but with this one, I never, like, I chose my name, full name,
Uh-huh.
my root password, but when I try that, it goes in a loop. So let's see.
It's not, yeah, no. It's, so this is the user or the admin that you set up? The user, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
usually,
no. The one when your full name. So the admin, yeah, the admin.
okay, but hold on. When you're doing the install, it asks you to provide a password first for root.
Yeah, I did.
And then it asks you for the name of the user, and that's your full name.
Right.
And then it asks you for the user account that's based on your full name. That's in lowercase. So it's not your
Yeah.
first name and your last name. It's always a single name, and it could be like your first initial last name or just your first name in lowercase, and it's case sensitive. So however you put that account name in is how you have to enter it here. If you're putting your full username in, it won't work, and that's the issue. So what was the full name that you set up during the solution tasks?
It was Zid and Bass, my name, yeah.
Okay, so it would be probably just be your first name, all lowercase.
All lowercase, yeah.
All lowercase. No. And now it's your user password, not the root password. And if you use the same password, that's okay, but it should be the second password it asks you to enter. And if you went through that process and all you did was enter the same password again, okay. Well, guess what you have?
What's that?
You have a login prompt.
Okay, let's see here now.
Now, here's the thing. When you did the install, if you did not select a specific graphical environment like Cinnamon or KDE Plasma, or it didn't, if something happened and you get a chance, it should have included GNOME, but maybe it didn't. So why don't you do this? Enter sudo su. So this screen all by itself, you're done.
Yeah.
If you capture this screen, this is what you submit to show you successfully set up your virtual machine. But you're working in Linux without a graphical environment. You can actually you can install a desktop environment of choice after the fact, and it's not a problem. So sudo space su, enter. Go ahead and put in su. There we go. Now put in your administrative password.
Okay.
Now you have a pound prompt. So yeah, you want to capture this screen because that shows you your virtual machine is working and you're finished. And this is the 5th criteria. So you'll get all 5 points if you have those other things as well. And this screen, the solution is finished. But now I want you to type in this command. Okay. So it's apt-get, and there can't be any space.
Okay.
And then space update, and then space ampersand. There we go, and then space apt-get upgrade. And hit enter. Woo-hoo-hoo! Okay. So you can include this screenshot for additional credit. See if you can ping 8.8.8.8. It'd be nice to know if you have network connectivity. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's working. So you could press Control C or Control Z, break out of that. There we go. Yeah,
So
But-
how would I install the user interface?
if you want to install the graphical user interface, there's a command that you can use. And what you want to do is just, you have to decide which graphical user interface you want. So you could Google Debian setup KDE Plasma, and it would tell you which command to use at the pound prompt. And it'll run, it'll download a bunch of stuff, and then you'll reboot your system, and then you'll have a graphical environment.
Debian KP Plasma?
Yeah, go ahead and open up like Safari or Chrome. And then you can put Debian terminal command.
Shoot first.
Install. Are you familiar at all with the desktop environments in Linux?
Yeah, I've used them before.
Okay. Do you want to do Plasma or Cinnamon or GNOME or what?
I don't really remember which one I used. I used Ubuntu, the Ubuntu.
Okay.
Linux.
And if it was an older Ubuntu, it was probably GNOME. Well, try
Okay.
Cinnamon.
Okay.
Okay, so see where it says sudo apt install
Yeah.
task cell? And then it says cinnamon DE. So you don't have to use the sudo. You've got a pound prompt already. It's apt install task select, right? So let's go to your screen.
APT.
Install.
Any spaces? Okay.
There we go. And then space. Task SEL, no space. No, it has to be lowercase.
SEO.
No. SEL, yeah. L, Lima. No, not Seoul, but
Oh, L.
L, yeah. Hit enter. It says already newest version. Okay, go back to your Safari. Now you're ready to install the other one. It says Cinnamon. So click on that thing that says Cinnamon DE installation. Yeah. Just follow the steps.
Okay.
Now this says on Debian 11, you're on Debian 12. So there might be some differences, but if you scroll down just to step 3,
Oh, you see, the problem is at this screen, I just clicked I chose the first one. I didn't go down to choose a graphical user interface. That's the problem.
yeah. Well, so one thing you could do is blow up the virtual machine and just reload it and select something.
Okay, I think I'll do that.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Well, you have a computer running inside a computer.
Yep.
And you did it with Parallels, a completely different environment. That's really good.
Thanks.